In this video, we're going to be looking at some of the general features of a vertebrae. In order to show these features, we're going to look at a thoracic vertebra. Now, you can find the features I'm about to point out on any of our vertebrae, so they're common on cervical, thoracic, or lumbar. It's just that with thoracic, it's a little bit easier to see. The first part we should talk about is this thick region at the front of the vertebrae. This is referred to as the body. The body of the vertebrae bears the weight of the body. So this is our weight-bearing section. Attached to the body, we can see this kind of arch-like area. This is referred to as the vertebral arch. Now, the vertebral arch is formed by two substructures. The first part of the arch can be found right here. This part of the arch is attaching the arch to the body. We refer to this section as the pedicle. The second region is this kind of plate that we see here and here. These plates are the lamina. So the two lamina plus the two pedicles come together to form our vertebral arch. Now, pedicle means little foot, lamina means plate. So the arch stands on its little feet, and it has plates that form the roof. When we join our vertebral arch to the body, we can see this opening that's traveling through our vertebrae. That hole is called the vertebral foramen. The vertebral foramen is where the spinal cord is running through. Now, in addition to these structures, we can see a number of different bony projections sticking off of the vertebrae. Coming off of the back side of the vertebrae, we have the spinous process. And if we look at it from the side, we can see that on a thoracic vertebrae, the spinous process points down sharply. If I compare that to, say, a lumbar vertebrae, we can see the spinous process still points out the back, but it has a slightly different shape. It's thicker and kind of hatchet-shaped. Now, in addition to the spinous process, we have our transverse processes. So here's the transverse processes sticking out to the sides or sticking out transversely. Now, you can't feel the transverse processes, but if you run your finger down the midline of someone's back, all of those little bumps that you feel are the ends of the spinous process. Now, in addition to the spinous process and the two transverse processes, if we turn the vertebrae on its side, we can see that we have a set of projections sticking up and a set of projections sticking down. Now, again, the reason why I use a thoracic vertebrae for this is because the spinous process points inferiorly. This tells us that this is superior and that this is inferior. So if I look at my two processes that stick up, these are the superior articular processes. So they're sticking up to articulate or form a joint with the vertebrae above. Sticking down, I can see my two inferior articular processes. These are sitting on either side of the spinous process. Those are going to articulate or form a joint with the vertebrae below. Now, this is a single vertebrae. If I start to join my vertebrae together, I get something that looks like this. So here we have a whole bunch of thoracic vertebrae that are joined together. And I notice that when I join my vertebrae together, I get these little holes that form between them. These holes are the intervertebral foramina. Foramina is just the plural of foramen. So if you're referring to one hole, it's an intervertebral foramen. If you're referring to all of the holes, it's the intervertebral foramina. These are where the spinal nerves exit out of the spinal cord. So spinal nerves go through our intervertebral foramina, while the spinal cord travels down through all of the vertebral foramen. One thing to keep in mind, inter means between. So intervertebral tells you it's between the vertebrae.